Hey guys, Mike in the Woods here. So as you've seen recently on my channel, for whatever reason I've been super obsessed with the idea of power generation out in the woods. One of the mainstays on this channel is the idea of backpacking on an electric skateboard. A while back I did a video where I figured out how to use a solar panel to recharge the electric skateboard battery. So the downside with that particular setup is that it didn't have any USB ports for charging like my phone or my battery bank or anything like that, so I wanted to fix that. And eventually I figured out that the best way to fix that would be to attach a step-down USB charging dongle directly to the battery through the XT60 connector. And then I realized that combined with the solar panel, I basically just made a portable, super lightweight power bank system for charging USB. Whether you're like me and out backpacking or touring on an electric skateboard, or you're looking for like a super lightweight power bank setup for backcountry camping, or even as a simple lightweight overlanding setup, I think that what I've come up with is actually pretty useful. So consider subscribing if you're new to the channel, and let's take a look at what I cooked up this time. If you haven't watched the solar charging video, the quick and dirty is that I swapped out my solar panel's default charge controller with a special one that could step up the voltage so I could charge my electric skateboard's battery. Since the solar panel only outputs at 18 volts natively and the battery needs to charge at 42 volts, that was a critical piece of the puzzle. I like to go backpacking on my eskate, and this was a potential solution for legs of the trips where I might not have enough juice to get me from one charging stop to another on trips where that is a concern. The idea is to take a 0 day or a Nero day and just charge up the battery a bit, just enough to get you to where you want to go. I've gotten up to 70 watts of output from that panel during my initial testing, which would charge one of my massive 324 watt-hour batteries from empty to full in just under 5 hours. Unfortunately, the charge controller I replaced the default one with does not have any USB ports on it, so I can't also use it to charge up anything else I happen to have with me, whether that be phones, camera gear, battery banks, etc., whether on my electric skateboard or even just out on a traditional backcountry camping trip. Well, the fix, as it turned out, was this little USB step-down charger. It has a max voltage of 40 volts, which is more than enough to take my electric skateboard's 36 volt output. It steps it down to the standard USB charging voltage of 5 volt at 2 amps per port. The issue was connecting this thing to the battery, and to do that I had to get a XT60 extension cable. I snipped off one end and stripped the wires and screwed them into the terminals on the USB widget. The first time I plugged it into one of my eskate batteries, I thought for sure this thing was going to explode, so I did it on my balcony while wearing latex gloves for insulation. Thankfully it worked, and as a test I charged my battery bank for a few hours off the big eskate battery. As you can see, it worked pretty well, and this little dongle only weighs 35 grams. And it was at that point that I realized that when combined with the solar panel charging, I had actually just effectively created an end-to-end power bank system, like a Jackery or a Blue Eddy, but for USB only, in something compact enough to fit in the side pocket of my solar panel. This realization meant that I had effectively created not one, but two solid use cases for this setup. The first, the primary use case, is that I now have a way to directly charge USB devices from my electric skateboard battery, which I did not before. And the second is that I now have a super lightweight battery bank system for longer duration backcountry camping trips. That first one is extremely useful for my electric skateboard backpacking trips. I have two critical pieces of electronics that need to stay charged for use, and that's my phone for navigation and emergency situations, but even more critically, my electric skateboard's wireless remote. The board is literally dead weight if that thing can't control it. Now, before I would carry a dedicated battery bank just for this purpose, but now that I have this little battery attachment, I actually don't need a separate battery bank anymore. I can just charge right off the electric skateboard battery. It also saves me space and time when I stop to charge, as I can pull juice directly from the battery to charge my other electronics while I top up the battery with the fast charger. It might add a little bit more time to the charging stop, but it drastically simplifies my charging setup and cuts the number of outlets I need to charge everything, including all three of my electric skateboard batteries, my phone, and my GoPro batteries, to just one outlet. Even if you're not out on a backpacking trip like me, if you're doing any longer rides and need to stop somewhere to charge, making a little attachment like this might be really useful for you by turning your electric skateboard / unicycle / bicycle / scooter into a battery bank on wheels. The second use case, like I said, a portable power bank system, means I have a really lightweight and packable setup for backcountry camping trips, making sure I keep everything charged indefinitely. I retired my third small battery from my electric skateboard now that I have a third large one on the way to replace it, and is now the battery dedicated to this little portable charging setup. It's 192 watt hours, so it would only take an average charging of 32 watts of solar based on a combined 6 hours of full sun a day to charge it back up from empty to full once a day. That means my folding solar panel only has to work at a quarter of its efficiency, because it's a 120 watt panel, to do a complete empty to full charge daily. To put that into perspective, the USB charging port is 5 volts at 2 amps, which is pretty standard. That's 10 watts of charging per USB port, or 20 watts if you add the two together. This eskate battery, when full, can sustain almost a full 10 hours of charging from both ports before the whole battery is depleted. To put this another way, my phone, the Galaxy S21, has a battery that's around 16 watt hours. I'd say real world use case, you're looking at about 2 weeks of battery for your phone if you need to charge it once a day, and that number becomes indefinite if you add even just a paltry 15 watt solar panel to the mix. And it doesn't have to be this exact setup either. Some people might have a higher voltage battery, which might need a different USB dongle that can step down that higher voltage. Your battery might have a different connector, you might want a bigger battery, or you might just want a different way of generating power like wind, hydroelectric, or thermoelectric. Or maybe you just don't want to bring a way to charge up the power bank and you just want a supersized power bank with enough juice to last you the duration of whatever trip you're on. The DIY aspect means you can customize your build to suit your exact needs and change it around as needed for different uses you might have for it. As long as you understand the two fundamental steps at play here, you should be good to figure it out. The first is the step up or step down phase to raise or lower the charging voltage to your battery, and the second is the step down to the USB's 5 volt charging. Oh, and obviously you need to make sure it all connects together. If I'm completely honest, this little dongle is actually probably one of the more useful things I've made, and it really does actually change things considerably for the better for my future eskate backpacking trips. I now have a really solid lightweight power bank setup that can hike into a backcountry camp. If you're interested in any of the stuff shown in this video, like the solar panel, the USB charging widget, the charge controller, etc., I'll put Amazon affiliate links in the description. If you have any questions about how all of this hooks up, or about your specific needs, shoot me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer. If you're new to the channel, I combine fun, futuristic technology with traditional outdoors experiences. Check out my other videos and consider subscribing if that's your thing. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next one.